A recent survey by Mercer suggests most Australian companies expect AI to take away about 20% of jobs within 2 years. Their talent trend study also found a big drop in the number of employees who feel they are thriving at work, with uneven access to AI training and tools adding to dissatisfaction.
Deloitte says otherwise, though. APAC CEO Rob Hillard told us that AI is already boosting productivity by up to 30%, with jobs being redesigned rather than simply replaced.
Technology is changing the way work is done. I'm a little more cautious that we're actually seeing the evidence of job losses. AI is getting embedded in the way a programmer redesigns an activity or an outcome for someone to deliver. And AI is getting embedded in the supply chain to make it more efficient, but usually in partnership with a person.
Joining us now is Cynthia Cottrell, who's a Workforce Solutions Leader at Mercer Pacific. Cynthia, really great to have you with us. And there's, of course, been a lot of talk around whether or not Australia broadly, the workforce, has been underprepared or perhaps a little bit behind the curve when it comes to these AI expectations. Is there a fair point that's being made that when we talk about labour force productivity, that really is in reality going to mean the loss of jobs as opposed to just a redesign or retraining?
Look, and thanks for having me. I think that, ultimately the headlines and certainly when we do see organizations make these workforce reduction decisions as a result of AI, we are seeing, I think, a combination of things happening. One, yes, there are restructurings happening. According to our study that we just conducted and released this year, 98% of the organizations we interviewed are planning on restructures this year. Not all of them are doing that as a result of AI. So I think we need to sort of put into perspective that as part of business model change, as part of the volatility in the market, organizations are restructuring, changing, growing at any rate. When it comes to AI and job loss, the facts are there, particularly for employees. We found that the thriving of our employee workforce certainly has dropped dramatically. It's actually at its lowest ever point in the 10 years that Mercer's been running the global talent trend. So it's now at 44% of the workforce that we interviewed during this research. We also found that the fear of AI job loss across that same employee group that we interviewed has jumped up significantly as well, from 28% in 2024 to 40% now in 2026. So the sentiment is there. There's certainly fear. The challenge we have is that whilst we believe, and I agree with the sentiment that productivity will become a real benefit at some point in time, we're just not seeing that play out. For right now, for example, 99% of the CEOs that we interviewed in our research believe that there will be AI headcount cuts over the next couple of years. At the same time, that same group only believes to the tune of 32% that they can actually integrate human and machines in such a way that drive that productivity. So I think we're well ahead of where we think the productivity is going to come from AI and the actual capability to do it.
Cynthia, we've heard from, in particular, leaders in finance, right? Bill Winters talking about perhaps the elimination of lower value human capital, which of course is quite a controversial way of phrasing that. We've heard the likes of Jamie Dimon and Matt Corman also weigh in as well. When it comes to that part of the economy, that part of the labour force, how does Australia compare, do you think? Is there relatively less or more when it comes to segments and types of roles that might be affected?
Look, I think what we found in our study and as a result of looking at Australia compared to the rest of the globe, Australia isn't particularly more exposed in sort of the graduate layers or the early into career roles compared to other parts of the world as it relates to AI exposure to those types of jobs. What we are seeing, though, and I think this is a positive for Australia, is that we are seeing through both a recognition of productivity gains and being able to drive much more usage of those tools into education, into being able to equip our graduates as they come out of the pipeline with those tooling, we actually see that as potentially more advanced here than in other parts of the world.
Cynthia, there may be a sense of despondency among a number of young people who are either about to enter university or graduate from it. What would your message be to those young people about what they should be specialising in and what they should be doing?
Yeah. Despondency is a good description for how many of those graduates are feeling right now. And it's a really tough spot that they're put in. And depending on, again, where they have gone to uni or TAFE or whatever the education that they are finishing up now, they may have been told by their professors, or they may have even been embarrassed or even discouraged from using these tools throughout their educational experience. And then we're effectively making hiring decisions about these graduates based on their AI literacy and how well they've used these tools. So if you are a student just finishing up your program or your studies, my advice would be to absolutely learn the tools. Learn the tools. And at the same time, continue to hone those skills of creativity, of judgment, of critical thinking.
All right, Cynthia, that's all we have time for, but thanks so much for joining us. Cynthia Cottrell, Workforce Solutions Leader at Mercer. And we have more on Australia ahead. This is every Tuesday, 10:40 a.m. if you're watching in Sydney, 8:40 a.m. in Hong Kong. You can also tune into the Bloomberg Australia podcast, and you can find that on Apple, Spotify, or Bloomberg.com. This is Bloomberg.